How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. It was great.
I was asking our listeners, but guess what, everybody? It is Monday, and that means it's time for another episode of the Trial and Error Podcast.
That's right. Check us out on trialanderrorpodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify.
That is right. We are now on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
And streaming in your smart driving car.
Yeah, if you got one.
Which is
absolutely
complete fucking bullshit.
What is?
Self-driving cars.
Why?
They are terrifying, and not everybody is responsible enough to drive one.
I mean, the car is pretty responsible.
Right.
It depends on what level you're talking about. Are you talking about a Tesla that will actually take you from point A to point B off exits and stoplights and all that?
No, I'm talking about that shit that you showed me the other night.
Oh, in my new car?
Mm-hmm.
See, proof is in the pudding, man. I changed my insurance over, and my rate went down substantially.
Because you have a self-driving car?
It's
or
not
is it because
it's not
you
a
have
self-driving
a
car.
newer, safer car?
It's not a self-driving car. These are safety features in the
whatever.
car that lower my premium. So what my car has is not self-driving. I have radar cruise control or adaptive cruise control, whatever you want to call it. Essentially what that does is I set it to, say I want to go 65, and it tries to get me to that, but works with traffic based on what's going on in front, behind, and to the sides of it. So it goes with the flow of traffic. It's also got lane keep assist, which keeps me in the center of the lane, whether I'm going around a curve or whatever. And so put those two together, and technically you can take your hands off the wheel, even though every 10 seconds it prompts you to put your hand on the wheel.
Right.
It's a safety feature. And it
I
makes
get it,
driving
man,
so
but-
convenient, man.
But, how can you get so comfortable with that so quickly after it's just come out on the market? All of a sudden it's here and you're like, oh, fuck, I don't have to drive anymore.
Well, I mean, obviously,
Zoom along on the highway.
no, you don't just, set it on that and put handcuffs on. You have your hand on the steering wheel, whatever
I feel
you
it, but
do.
still, this technology is gonna fuck up sooner or later, and they definitely
Not nearly at a fraction of the rate that humans fuck up. That's the whole point.
But at least when humans fuck up, it's a human fucking up, man. It's natural.
But I understand that, but it happens way more often than what you would see in a Tesla. And yes, there have been a couple accidents that have happened because of a Tesla, but for those two that have happened, there have been another 10,000 human errors. And eventually the whole point is when our entire road system is working on self-driving cars, it won't just be people out driving for themselves. All these cars are going to be communicating with each other in real time, and it's going to be a computer program that's going to move everything. It's not going to be some person behind the wheel who's distracted and had a shitty day and is thinking about other things.
What about the jobs, Connor? What about all the truckers out there?
I mean, I don't think that's going to go away at the same rate.
No,
I
man.
think that it will. Tesla has come out with a self-driving.
Exactly. In the next 5 to 10 years, it's gonna be over 1 million truck drivers losing their jobs.
I understand that, and
they're all old ass white men who don't have any education really, and it's too late for them to learn how to code. What are they supposed to do?
I don't have the answer to that. My hope is that they find other jobs. I mean, with this kind of technology comes manufacturing jobs and people who monitor this stuff. I'm not educated on, that side of the economy or whatever, but
But it's one of those things where I don't know. I think it's just the difference between you and I is you embrace this technology the second it comes out. I'm just super hesitant to.
That doesn't mean I trust it. I'm interested in it, and I want to get my hands on it as soon as I can, and I want to try it. I guess the most controversial thing we could go into is the fact that I have 2 Alexas in my apartment.
Yeah,
And
creepy, man.
I understand the issues behind that. There's a lot of privacy issues, but I'm one of those people, and I know it's ignorant to say, most likely, but I think if someone's going to be listening to me, they're going to be wasting time. If Amazon listens to certain things I say to help with advertising, I think it's annoying, but it doesn't bother me. And I know it's not that that has been going on for years and years and years, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like it's a person listening to what you're saying. Like, all this shit is just put into some giant AI that is organizing and storing every single thing that you say and do in your apartment. Dude.
It doesn't. I think there would be
at
some
some
pretty
point
big
that
issues.
could be hacked into and used against you.
These things are very secure because, like, for instance, my car has Apple CarPlay in it, but Toyota is refusing to use Android Auto because there's a lot of privacy issues behind it. Their system isn't secure, and so I think personal security is going to continue. It's going to get even bigger. It's going to become a bigger issue, and these companies that put out this technology are going to have to satisfy those people that are worried about their personal information. So it's not just going to be a free for all of like everyone's personal info getting stolen. It's going to be the companies that are putting out this technology are going to have to compete in the by terms of being the most secure and the most safe.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I guess the problem is they're only doing that because they have to. Like, we have so much great technology, but it's all like used for consumer goods. Like, what if we could put together a lot of this technology to like fix agriculture in the United States and around the world, and like come up with systems where you can automatically farm shit, and that's all done through AI. You know?
I'm sure there's things like that being worked on.
Certainly by some people, but it's not a major thing at all. And it doesn't get the kind of resources and attention that fucking a home surveillance device gets, disguised as a radio or whatever.
Well, that kind of shit's creepy. I mean,
that's what Alexa is, though.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a home surveillance device.
I mean, it gets enough stuff. But my point is that, like, we waste a lot of our energy and resources on technology that's purely for, like, people who can afford crazy shit. You know, people who can just go out and buy, like, a new thing that breaks every 2 years, and then there's a better one. That's, like, what the bulk of that is being invested in. And it would be so easy if you had the same amount of energy and money and everything being put into solving problems through technology, then you would actually get results.
I think you're focusing too much on these advancements in relation to consumer products, because a lot of this stuff is being put into solar, medical, other, you know, like the whole point of electric cars that, yes, are smart and drive themselves, but they're fucking electric. We're not, the whole idea is that in 10 years, we're not using fossil fuels to power our vehicles anymore. So there is a lot, I think there's an equal amount of responsible advancements going on that
there are, but they're taking such a long time. I mean, like, if we wanted to, we could transfer infrastructure to make sure there were enough charging stations everywhere, so that no matter what, it was the same as a gas station. You can always get around.
Dude, there's
and we could start producing electric cars that were affordable for people.
That's what's happening.
If we wanted to put the effort into, no, but it's taking so long.
These things take a long time.
Think about when the first electric cars like were hitting the market, or like hybrids.
Dude, the first electric car hit the market in like the 50s or some shit, and it got shot down by the oil industry.
Okay, but I'm talking about like the first, like in recent times, the first cars that came out that were like fully plug-in, to the time we're at now, to the time where every car is going to be electric. That's like a super long time, and it doesn't have to be like that. In like a much smaller time frame, we went from cell phones that were just those crazy bricks, and you play Snake, and that was it.
Yeah.
To now we have fucking like 11 different iPhones.
But that's a much different thing, because there's not as much liability about a new phone as there is cars that are going to change the entire dynamic of how people in this world travel. I mean, there's a lot more safety issues behind a vehicle than a phone. So it's much easier to develop this new technology and much cheaper to develop it for a consumer product like a phone rather than a car.
But that technology becomes much cheaper just when it's being invested in. The reason consumer goods are so cheap is because that's what everybody, consumers,
well, because that's where the money is. But the whole point is
the money's there because we want it to be there.
Of course, everyone in this room has a smartphone.
Well, yeah, it's because that's like the only fucking phone you can get, pretty much.
I mean, if you want...
You almost don't have a choice at this point. If you can afford something that's more than $100, it's going to be a smartphone.
But that doesn't mean you still completely have the option to go buy a flip phone at Safeway today for $30. So there's nothing forcing you into it. But my whole point is like these are good changes, and people are naturally nervous and reluctant to trust this new technology. And I think that's good. There should be regulations, and people should be concerned about it. But I think we're really talking about a broad range of issues here. But I guess the one thing I want to touch on is privacy. I think one thing that Apple has focused a lot on lately, and one of their big selling points, is security and privacy protection. They have so many features in their products that protect you and encrypt your info. And them being, I think at this point, they are the... Aaron, will you look up? I think Apple's the most valuable company in... I think Apple recently...
It's Microsoft
surpassed.
No,
it's high, like if you're talking highest market cap.
What's a market cap? Stock market stuff.
So currently, obviously, Amazon is the most valuable company in the world. Here's the top 10. Wow, Volkswagen, number 7.
Really...
Volkswagen is the 7th most valuable company in the world. That's insane.
That can't be right, and that feels...
No, this is... Wait.
Is this the
list of world's
1998?
Largest companies. Okay.
Largest?
That just means the most people. So Walmart's number 1 on that. But anyways, look, someone like you who's reluctant to get into this technology, I completely get it. I'm just one of those people, like, I want to jump in and try it. And there have definitely been times where I try out a technology that I realize I'm not really into and get rid of it. But like, dude, the stuff in my car is like, it helps me on a day to day. It makes me safer, in turn making people around me safer. I mean, it's got features in it where I push a button and they track my location, and they get the diagnostic from my car. So like, if I get in an accident and push that button, they can say, okay, this airbag.
Great, but are you not resourceful enough to like help yourself out if you get into an accident in the middle of the city?
I am, but my point is that these features are available. Like, you push a button, they track your location.
But it doesn't really
they can tell
shit.
Exactly what happened and send out emergency
and can track
response.
your patterns, your daily driving patterns, and figure out everything about your schedule.
But like, why? Okay,
that's what it is, man.
Okay, fine. So what does, like, someone wants to track my daily schedule? I'm not that important. Why?
Again, it's not someone. It's an AI that's just doing it and storing it.
But what?
So that in the future it could be used against you or for whatever the fuck else that is.
It's not like it can just be used to attack you. I mean, if someone hacks into it,
it can. But it's like
there's certain rights to privacy in this world. There's certain laws. It's not just a free for all. People don't just get to fucking be like, oh, like, Facebook is under fire
isn't
because
being tracked all the time a violation of your privacy?
It can be if it's involuntary, but it's all voluntary. You don't.
So you're able to turn it off in this car?
Yes. You don't have to sign up for this. I can turn everything off. That's how the economy works.
How do you know it's still not working though?
Because I trust that
it's already in place. Maybe it's just not showing it to you.
Okay, that sounds like something that company would definitely get sued for if anybody
found out.
Okay, but the whole point,
companies always do fucked up things until they get caught.
But okay, so the whole point is, like, I don't really care. You can track me anywhere. I'm not fucking doing anything wrong. Like, 99% of people in this world aren't.
Yeah, but if I wanted to kill you, I could just hack into your car records and find where you'd be.
Okay, if you can hack into my car records, you can kill me. This shit isn't just like you go fucking log into something and use a fake email.
I can kill you. So
yeah, you go find my fucking car records. Like, you go hack through Toyota and whatever service they use and whatever services those are using for security, and you hack into all that and breach their data. Fucking kill me, because you can't do that. There's a very small amount of people in this world who can.
Connor, so are you saying you would be surprised if I showed up someplace at a place that you were and just killed you?
I mean, I would be surprised.
Really?
Of course. Why would I not be surprised?
Because of the killing, or because of the me being there and knowing to kill you there?
I mean, I would think more so that you just like logged in to find my friends and added me as a friend and found me.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. Listen, man. This
is
like,
that a thing where you track your friends?
Yeah.
That's fucking weird, man.
I understand, but it's one of those things where it's like I can see where certain family members are, like, and get their ETA if, you know, my dad's coming up to see me or whatever, I'm going down there instead of like hitting him up.
Why can't you just like relax until he gets there?
Some people aren't like that. Listen, we're allowed to have differing viewpoints on these things, and I appreciate that we do. I think
we're
it's good.
Absolutely not, dude. That's what this podcast is about, man. We have to come to a consensus before the episode is over.
I don't think we do. I think we're allowed to have differing. I think as long as
we have to come together and work it out.
Man, listen. Opposing viewpoints give both parties the power, because as long as you're able to understand somebody and take their points seriously, you don't have to agree. It's just what sucks is when someone refuses to hear someone else, and that's not what's going on. So I'm satisfied.
But what you're talking about is just respect for somebody else and for another viewpoint. What I'm talking about is we need to get this fucking money allocated to the right places and use technology for the right things. That's like,
I agree.
That's my main beef.
Okay, so yeah, your beef is with corporations, not this technology.
But corporations only do what consumers want.
Yes, that's how corporations work.
Right. So I'm blaming everybody. Corporations and humans.
I mean, yeah, people
corporations
need to vote for
are humans,
things.
Actually. They have human rights.
Yeah, which is nuts to me.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. That shouldn't be allowed. Dude, in other words, holy shit. Game 5 today. Fucking Toronto's up. Well, almost up. We're 93 Toronto, 95 Warriors. We're almost catching up, man. You realize how big of a deal it's going to be if Toronto wins today?
A big deal for some.
Dude, they've never been in the playoffs in their life. And here they are. And if they win this game, they're 2 points away.
Yeah.
Or 3 technically. Gonna be a big. Ooh, they just made a 3. They're up.
Oh, this is 95. So interesting. Yeah. What else? What just happened?
I don't know. Do I need to come up with that? Do I need to come up with everything?
You should log off the game though while we're having a discussion. It's very rude.
I'm off the game. It's a big day, man.
Close your MacBook. I don't trust you. I don't trust your fucking technology.
I'm not gonna close my MacBook, dude.
Fucking
I saw
city slicker.
I saw a sex worker today on Aurora. Which I surprised, you know, it's not super surprising, but
what'd you do?
Nothing, but it was just it's interesting to me because it's so very clearly like it's just one person by themselves and very scantily clad walking up and down the street looking at cars is just always an interesting thing to me.
People gotta eat, man. You ever heard of Randy Bobandy?
I've not.
Fuck, man, he sell himself for cheeseburgers, dude. Man's gotta eat.
Man does gotta eat.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, it sucks to see that shit, but like, it's gonna happen no matter what, and it should just be legalized and regulated so that it's safe, and you don't have to just fucking walk around Aurora like super dressed up, just looking for anybody. You know?
I agree.
You should have a nice little room that's sanitary. People there to provide security. Things like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit. It works in some places in the world.
It does. Like, you look at Amsterdam, it's just kind of part of the culture there, and it's it's safe, it's regulated, the government
it fucking brings in tourism specifically.
Brings in tourism. It's a safe thing, and as far as I know, the locals are just kind of like, whatever, it's for tourists.
It's isolated to a certain part of the town, and that's just what it is, man. But I don't know, the idea of paying for sex is kind of weird these days, like with those crazy high-tech like sex dolls and VR stuff coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
dude,
I don't know.
Yeah, VR is nuts. I don't know if I've told you, but Pardis and I have been to this place in Ballard. I can't remember the name, but it's like a VR club, and you go in, and there's different booths with different headsets, and you put the headset on and headphones, and it's like a padded booth. And
is it like a sex dungeon?
No, not at all. It's a bunch of nerds playing VR, drinking beer.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty awesome. But you go into this padded room, and like at first there's like indicators in the VR headset of where the boundaries in the room are, so you're not bumping into walls. But it's like this selection of like 110 games, and you just play VR games the whole time. It's nuts. I was playing this game where you're like a soccer goalie, and you get it's. I mean, video games on their own have just gotten insane lately, but when you're in VR, it completely immerses you in this world, and it's the weirdest thing when you come out of it because it traps you. It's crazy.
Right. So that's again one of those weird ass technologies though, where like obviously it would be super easy to get your hands on that technology and like overdose on it essentially to a point where like you can't connect with real life.
I mean,
because you're so used to think about like a lot of people who just play video games now. They might have a job that they go do for 40 hours a week, but if you're like really addicted to video games, the rest of your time is spent playing video games. And if you did that in virtual reality, that would seriously fuck with your brain. I think in like not even just like a like mental consciousness way, but like in a biological way, I think your brain would like reform itself and like forge new connections and shit.
I wouldn't go as far as that, but yeah, there could definitely be some issues with it.
What we call reality is all just perception of what we see and hear. It's only 5 senses coming together, ideally 5 senses coming together to tell you what is real. And if you have something that can simulate reality and you're spending most of your time having that simulated reality, then your brain can't tell the difference because you're still getting that information through your sight and vision and whatever else.
Have you...
Wait a minute. Sight and vision are the same thing, right?
Yeah. You're...
Oh, shit.
Have you heard this?
So there's only 4 senses.
No. No.
Actually, dude, I heard some shit. I don't remember where, and this might not be true, that there's like 110 or 120 different senses throughout all animals.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, obviously some animals can like really feel magnetism or whatever, and like a dog can tell when you're about to have a stroke and shit like that.
Yeah.
Of those however many senses, we can only get our hands on 5.
We have more than 5
occasionally
senses.
6. It's not a Pokemon either, dude. It's fucking real.
We have more than 5 senses.
But our brains aren't developed enough to understand them and be able to do anything with them.
I think we are. I mean, can you feel when there's magnets nearby? No, not something like that, but mentally or emotionally you can feel a lot of things, and those do a lot. So like, a lot of people have like a guilty conscience and have a sense of whatever, a guilt or whatever that drives them to do certain things. Or like, you have that voice in your head. Say you're in an area that you look around and realize you probably shouldn't be there and there's bad things going on.
But those are all just results of everything that you've learned and observed for your entire life. That's what forms your conscience, and that's what forms like your instincts and stuff like that, like your gut reactions.
Mm-hmm. But like a gut reaction is a physical thing. Like your heart rate goes up.
That's the thing. If it were a sense, then a gut reaction would be like pretty much the same thing for everybody. And if having a conscience, like that inner voice, if that was a sense, then it would be pretty much the same among everybody. But because we've all used our other senses to learn about reality differently, that's why our conscience can be different and our gut can be different.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I think emotional senses or mental senses have a bigger role than maybe are given credit for.
No, I mean, it's not like we just form every decision that we make based on what we're currently seeing, what we're currently smelling, hearing, tasting, and feeling. Like, we're using emotional intelligence and stuff, but it's intelligence. It's not a sense. It's something that you've developed and learned over the course of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you grow up in a shitty situation where like you have like abusive parents or something like that, like you're learning about the world much differently from somebody who just has a regular life. And so their inner voice is going to be a lot different, and their emotional intelligence is going to be a lot different. and the way they understand the world, you know?
Perspective definitely does play a large role.
Yeah, man. But fuck, man, it'd be cool to feel magnets. Do you like magnets?
Yeah, dick magnets are cool.
Dick magnets?
Yeah. What would that be?
Just either
a
a
dick-shaped magnet?
I think it would be a magnet-shaped dick.
You
know?
Someone has like a hip implant or
like
something.
A circle.
Yeah.
Just like a true circle.
I don't know if I'd want to feel magnets, man, because that's like, one thing that going back to technology a little bit, I was thinking about the other night. I've got a cellular connection, I've got Wi-Fi, I've got all these connections going on through the air, and sometimes I think about what that does to our body and if we've had enough time to really look into it.
Oh, probably not, dude. Think about like all that. Wasn't it like maybe 10 years ago they came out and they're like, yeah, if you talk on the phone all the fucking time, like you have a higher chance of cancer.
Mm-hmm. Or if you keep your phone in your leg, you have a higher chance of a tumor in your leg or something.
Yeah, I mean, I believe all that shit. Like, essentially everything, any products that we have, like clothing, technology, our houses and everything are all made from elements. Mm-hmm. And some elements are kind of fucked up for humans.
Well, there's that,
and we haven't gotten to a point where we've like thoroughly researched every combination of elements in every quantity, so that we can say, oh, when you put together this much of this, and this, you get an iPhone, and we know exactly how it's gonna react in the physical world.
Well, I don't think it's just so much that, but it's these frequencies going around us, and I wonder what it does mentally and what it does physically, and because like,
isn't that how you get abducted? Like a frequency of light.
I don't know how you that. I'm not the one to ask. I don't know how you get abducted. Something to do with aliens picking you up.
Ask?
Tom DeLonge.
Can we get him on here as a guest?
Aaron, can we get Tom DeLonge?
Blink 182 is on tour with Lil Wayne coming up, bizarre. And I'm pretty sure they're playing at the Gorge. So, like in the style of Trailer Park Boys, when they kidnapped the dude from Rush, we could go kidnap Tom DeLonge.
He doesn't play with Blink 182 anymore.
Oh, fuck, that's right.
Yeah, man. He's fully dedicated to researching aliens. I still think we could
kidnap Tom DeLonge. Set up
I'm not down to kidnap anybody. I'd love to meet him, though.
It's not fucking kidnapping if you bring him back. We're just borrowing him.
Okay, let's see how that holds up in court.
It's fine. We're not going to let him die. We're not going to hurt him. We're just going to chill the fuck out. Get ourselves an alien expert and call it good, man.
We should see if we can get him to call into the podcast. I'm sure he'd be excited to do so.
I don't know, man. I know he's like pretty vocal about all of his new passions and shit, but like, what's he been up to lately?
He's working with a bunch of different organizations, like doing extraterrestrial research and giving speeches and doing that kind of stuff. It's cool that like a
lot of that shit is kind of gaining more ground, you know?
I mean, it's about time. I think
there were a couple like really key documentaries that came out with people who like had some pretty good credentials and like have not evidence of UFOs necessarily, but have evidence that is more convincing than current evidence or whatever. And like it's gained a lot of traction. It's pretty cool.
Well, I think
love aliens.
One thing that blows my mind, I don't know the exact numbers on it, but it's pretty astonishing how minimal NASA's budget is compared to like the military.
Yeah.
It's
well, and that's crazy. Another thing what I'm talking about, not just with technology and everything, is just like where we choose to focus our money and resources and shit. Like we could still have the largest military in the world and all that good shit. And we could increase NASA's budget by so fucking much. Mm-hmm. And like that's the crazy thing is we got to the moon in like the 60s or whatever that was. 60s, right, Aaron? You should know this.
The 80s?
No, it was Kennedy. He was in the 60s, right?
Was it Kennedy? Wow.
Yeah. So 59.
59 is when we went to the moon?
We will get to the moon and we will do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Well, we had to beat Russia. One of us was going to get there first. And
right. And I mean, that's, again, it was a priority for whatever reason at that time. But, like, yeah,
political, man.
Since then, we, like, went to the moon a few more times, like, chilled out a little bit. We've done some pretty cool shit in space, but, like, we should have been at Mars by now. You know? If we had just put in that effort, like, the only reason Mars is really, like, on the table is because Elon Musk was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And NASA was like, fuck.
One thing that I think is really cool is some of these more wealthy people, or the most wealthy people in the world who own some of the largest companies in the world, are starting to put their money into space travel. And even, what's his name? The guy who owns Virgin.
Oh yeah, Russell Brand. He was one of the first ones.
That's not Russell Brand. Russell Brand's an actor.
Yeah, you're right. Russell Brand. It's something Brand.
Yeah. But anyways,
Mr. Brand.
He's doing like luxury space tours.
It is Charles Brand. Did I say Russell Brand?
You said Russell Brand.
I said Charles, right? Richard Branson. Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson. So he's not necessarily doing anything that's for research purposes. He's just looking to create like luxury space tours.
Well,
which
he started doing that a while ago, and that was like
wow.
The first time I ever heard about him, he was in the process of at least conceptualizing that. And you're right, it was purely for like the newest form of luxury transportation. You could travel through space, get to your place real quick.
But even that, I mean,
that's one of those things too, where I think that was before or right around the time that An Inconvenient Truth came out, and like, global warming and shit was kind of put on a little bit larger of a scale. And so at the time, all of the work he had done was just for like a pleasure cruise essentially, but it could have gone towards not only a luxurious experience, but also like, oh, maybe we need to look at alternatives. And that is one thing. Like, I do believe humans should stay on Earth and like try to fucking fix Earth. We shouldn't just jump bail ship, But we also need a backup plan, and maybe it would be good for like half the population to leave. Like, take a little pressure off Mother Earth.
How do you decide who leaves?
Whoever fucking wants to.
I wouldn't want. I mean, I would.
A
want to
lot
visit
of people
Mars.
want to, and it's kind of expensive. I mean,
I think it's like when people say I'm going to move to Canada if so and so gets voted for president. I think as soon as the day comes up where it's like, all right, you're leaving Earth forever, now you're going to live on Mars in a hostile
it'll be like self-driving
environment.
Cars, man.
No, it's a much different thing.
One will come out and they'll be like, oh, this isn't too bad. They survived.
No, it's not like buying a self-driving car. It's like changing your entire life and moving to a hostile environment for the end of research.
Sounds exactly like.
Sorry, I said for the end of research because the game just ended. So close, Raptors. 105, 106. Man, got to get them in the next game.
I hate listening to you talk about sports. Man. So do our listeners. That's right. You sound like a moron, dude.
With that being said, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We're going to cut it off here. Mars is a hostile environment, and I'm sensing a little bit of hostile energy.
Yeah, this fucking room's about to be a hostile environment, man.
So we're going to let you guys go.
Keep watching Sporty
You don't want to see
Hoops
this
all the time.
We'll see you next week on Monday.
Greasy bastard.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Have a good night.
That's right. And before you have a good night, make sure you check out the trialanderrorpodcast.com website and listen to us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify. Bam, 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 bam. Good night, bitches.